know what's inherent to autism and what's conditioned? You think everyone with autism was conditioned to have the same symptoms? It's a spectrum. I mean, even something as universal as masking is wildly different for autistic people. Autism presents differently for people. But I don't know if it's that simple. Like, I've known a lot of autistic people over the years that it just never even occurred to them to mask. I think it's common with autism to not pay a high consideration to what other people think. I think that's kind of my point. Like, I used to mask so hard that I didn't even know I was having panic attacks at work. But also, I was raised to not bother people, which you think taught you to mask. Masking's a survival mechanism. So, I mean, I think definitionally, anyone that's learned to mask was taught... What else? Alexithymia? A condition where 50 to 60% of autistic people struggle to recognize their internal state? You think that was taught? Well, there are some studies that suggest there are significantly higher rates of alexithymia in people that are late diagnosed. I mean, wouldn't you have a hard time knowing what's going on inside if all of your formative years you'd been told the wrong thing? Absolutely, yeah. But also, if that were true, couldn't it just mean that alexithymia contributes to a higher misdiagnosis rate? Maybe, yeah. Okay, we'll come back to that one. I find humans to just be overwhelming. We see a fair amount of people with autism struggle with social anxiety or even isolation, but I think we see that in kids when they do parallel or onlooker play. Yeah, exactly. So that's inherent. Well, no, because I did the onlooker play thing as a kid too, and then in high school I wanted to learn how to play with other kids, and in college I got really good at playing with other people, and now that I'm an adult with kids and responsibilities, I just don't have the energy to be around other people, so I isolate. It sounds like you've been struggling with this your whole life. Well, I've always liked people. It's just whether or not I like being around them seems to be more of a byproduct of my skills and experience in this situation. It's epigenetic. I don't know if you're using that word right. Also, I don't think this really proves that these things are conditioned. That's not what I was saying. Oh my God, that's how the conversation started. No, you're operating from the premise that these things are inherent. I'm just asking, how do we know the difference between inherent or conditioned or presenting? I mean, maybe autism a few hundred years ago in a different society looked wildly different. Why do you care one way or the other? Maybe by understanding the mechanics, we can better diagnose it, or we can predict how it's going to manifest, or help people with their support needs. There are a lot of implications. But, well, I mean, if I'm being honest, it also just kind of feels like lumping together a bunch of free-floating symptoms and calling them a condition is some top-down thinking bullshit. You really just, I mean, that's just always going, isn't it? Yeah. I don't always love it.